Hey everyone, welcome once again to the McNuttiest dimension. Thanks for taking some time to hang out on the McNuttiest podcast. I'm Chris McNutt. I hope everyone is doing well, or as well as you can possibly do. Lugging around one of these human meat suits in the third dimensional shit show that we call life down here, but we don't need to focus on all the hardships of that journey here in McNuttiest podcast, where we aim for the lightness side of the spectrum. A reminder to a superpower you always have that you can tap into is your neutral observer goggles. Just look at this whole thing like you're a scientist in a white lab coat with a clipboard looking from the other side of that one-way glass. Just observe the goings-on and notice that it's a bit of a crazy-ass magical wonderland of all kinds of experience and energies ripping around. And we don't even know the degree of the serious intent we had when we even decided to pop into human form. Because for all we know, it was Friday night. We were hanging out with our friends. We were at the multi-dimensional cosmic amusement park, eating cotton candy, and we saw a ride called Earth Human 21st Century. And we said, that sounds pretty sick. And we waited in line for a half an hour. And then that sketchy amusement park ride guy with the smoke hanging out of his mouth, he strapped us in and whew, away we went. Earth Human it is. And we are just riding that ride right now. And when we're done, we might be a little shaky. We might have to go puke behind the corn dog stand. And then we're going to meet our friends and go, whoa, that was freaking amazing. Let's do it again. Which could also be called the Wheel of Samsara. That's just another interpretation of the ancient Buddhist archetype of our incarnational cycle. So you may have noticed while you're down here riding the ride of Earth Human 21st Century, it's really helpful to have some money in your pocket, some cash in the bank. And there's also lots of different money that you can choose from. We got dollars and yen and euro and rupees. And there's also this crazy ass new world of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sushi Swap, Ripple, Cardano, and all these other cryptocurrencies that you could also use, own, and go that route for your financial interaction in the world. I've dipped my toes into the cryptocurrency waters. I'm not really much of a swimmer. I haven't dove right in, but I don't swim too well in any financial waters here on this human journey I'm on right now. I'm kind of reluctant in all those ways. I kind of paddle about. Maybe I roll up my pants and wade into my knees when it comes to this sort of stuff. But I do own some coins. I got some tokens. I got some software wallet platforms where I keep that sort of stuff. So I have checked it out. And I'm curious about how it's all evolving. I see the potential there. I see this interaction with all kinds of different values that are also ripping around in what some of us call the New Age spiritual community. And there's actually quite a bit of adoption going on in that community to the world of cryptocurrency. So my guest today, Warrick Fitzgerald, is a software engineer, and he works in the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And for those of you not totally hip to the lingo of this world, blockchain is the platform. It's like the database technology that is underneath. It's like the platform that cryptocurrency operates on, back to the ancient times we call the 1990s, where we had internet as this basic platform. But at that time, we didn't have Netflix or Facebook or YouTube or all these other platforms and applications that were built on top of it. So currently blockchain and various different blockchains that are being created is the platform on top of which cryptocurrency and all these other financial services operate. And blockchain is used for all other kind of data systems like airports, and there's all kinds of things that are operating on blockchain, but one of the main apps is cryptocurrency and the different types of financial services related to cryptocurrency. So Warrick is a software engineer in the world of blockchain, but he's also a spiritual explorer, practitioner who's spent time in shamanistic realms and done a lot of deeper work on his own personal side of things. And he's he sees it from both sides. He sees this from the technological side. He sees it from the New Age spirituality side in the realm of Starseed energies and all of that is whipping about in this Earth Ascension thing we got going on down here. So cryptocurrency and the spiritual New Age Starseed convergence. Please welcome to McNuttiest Podcast, Warrick Fitzgerald. Okay. Welcome, Warrick, to the McNuttiest Podcast.
Thanks, Chris. Pleasure to be here, man.
And you've had yourself a stormy day down on the Cayman Islands where you live and sort of hide out in some secret financial bunker from the world. Is that right?
Exactly. It's the modern day pirates hangout.
Okay, so describe the world of the modern day financial pirates of the Caribbean.
It's not nearly as exciting as I just made it sound. It's an island filled with lawyers and accountants, and I think I might be one of like 5 software engineers that live on the island.
So it was software engineering that led you into this world of blockchain and cryptocurrency. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. I used to be in what I would call the ad tech industry, which is a soul sapping place to spend your time.
The ad tech industry, you say?
Yeah, basically all the technology that the various companies use to target you with clever spam. So, somebody saw you go to this website and then go to that website and click this button. And then 2 days later, you got an ad saying, "Ooh, we saw you went here." And well, actually, it doesn't say any of that. It just assumes it knows what you want. And before you know it, you're getting advertisements about things that, it kind of knows before you know what you want.
I used to get ads in my feeds for condoms, and now I get ads for erectile dysfunction and hair loss. Yes, you and your friends certainly figured out a way how to make my self-esteem shine and glow as I look at my ads in my feed.
I can't take credit for all of that. All I know is that I provided the technology to some areas, companies like eBay and Microsoft and guys like that did with it what they will. But
so a lot of us, even if we're not totally hip to the crypto world, we know Bitcoin. So is that where blockchain and this first application of this technology began? And so maybe you could just walk us through a little bit of a history of Bitcoin, blockchain, how the whole thing got going.
Blockchains, without going into the boring technical details, its primary function was how do you create a database that can never lie? Now, so when you start to work in industries where, like say for example, the public has an interest in knowing for certain that you are honest, right? Or you want to demonstrate that you are honest and that there is no possible way that you have modified your data. That's where blockchains become powerful, because you can say, guys, I'm gonna be transparent with my information, and because I'm using a blockchain in this specific way, you can be 100% certain that none of the data that I am sharing with you has ever been modified. And if I did ever change it, it would be it would be easy for you to detect that change. And that's the kind of world that I think we want to live in, where there's more transparency, and the people that want to demonstrate honesty are able to do so in a way that other people can trust, and that's what blockchain at its fundamental level is about.
So some honesty and maybe a little bit of an integrity for the financial world is something, a bit of a problem that blockchain and Bitcoin was trying to solve.
The really big challenge behind Bitcoin was, how do we remove a centralized party? So we basically, what I want is, I want a database where no one person is in control. So because if I don't want to have to rely on, I mean, take a look at what's happening in the world at the moment, right? The United States decides that what another country is doing, like Venezuela, is wrong, and before you know it, the United States just is able to turn off the financial system for them, right? They just say, "Whoop, sorry, you guys just can't transact with the rest of the world," right? Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but at the end of the day, I don't believe that one group should have the power to make another bend to their belief system.
And our current financial system, even though it's spread out around the whole world, it's still kind of centralized in a way. And there's people, gatekeepers, that can decide whether or not we're allowed to do things. And that, in a sense, is how they keep their power and their control over this whole system that we have to use.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the end of the day, you look at, so there are many countries in the world today which have exchange control. So for example, if you've made some money in South Africa and you want to leave the country, you have to go and beg the government to let you take your money with you, right? And and they're like, China is another example, is that they have very strict exchange controls about like where you can and can't take your money. Can you take it out the country? And at the end of the day, it's I worked for that money. It's my money. I should be able to put it in my pocket and leave whenever I want. Who are you to tell me where I can and can't go with my money?
So along came Bitcoin, and it's basically decentralized. And if you're using Bitcoin, you basically have the ability to spend the money, do what you want with it without anybody telling you there's any rules. That's sort of it.
Exactly. So there is no one person or no one group that can change the law of you just can't apply politics to it, which is fantastic. And the other side of it, right, is the fixed supply of Bitcoin. So if we look at what's happening around the world today, we go into a pandemic or whatever it is, and depending on your political agenda, someone says, well, we better help these people over there, so we're just going to print up another $1 trillion here and $1 trillion there, and we'll hand it out like candy, right? And the truth is that what happens to everybody that has been saving their entire life, right, is that all of their savings get diluted. So because there is more money in circulation, it reduces the value of the money that you have saved for your entire life. And you didn't have a say in whether you thought that was a good idea to print trillions and hand it out. And of course, all the banksters had a grand old time with all that money, and that the folks on the ground got a questionable amount of benefit out of that. But when it comes to Bitcoin, there are 21 million coins, and there will always be 21 million coins. There is no politician or political agenda that could ever change the supply of Bitcoin. So it's a fixed and finite amount.
Right. So let's be clear for those that aren't hip to the world of crypto, that these coins like Bitcoin, they don't, there's nothing physical that corresponds to them. They're just zeros and ones that sit on a server somewhere. There is and nothing you can hold in your hand, so to speak. But at the same time, what you were saying about what I consider to be the dollars that I use, and that system is also pretty much just this nebulous affair that the only reason it has value is because there's some belief in it having value, not because it's tangible assets you can hold in your hand.
Yeah. I mean, remember at one point in time, the reason the dollar had value was because it was backed by gold, right? And at a point in time, our president of the United States said, "Yeah, you know what? How about we'll just call it an IOU. I promise this thing has value, and as long as we all believe it has value, then it does, right?" And so, but it's a belief system, and belief systems can change.
And are changing.
And they certainly are.
And now with this cryptocurrency explosion that we have now, I know the overall price of a lot of crypto has taken a bit of a nosedive in recent weeks, but we're still looking at a value of somewhere around $1.6 trillion, isn't it, in the global market cap?
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, $1.6 trillion is still a drop in the ocean in comparison to, the rest of the circulating money supply. But, you can almost think of there are many aspects of the traditional financial system that are like a game of musical chairs where, gold is a good example, right? So you have a certain amount of physical gold in existence in the world, right, that has ever been mined. And you have 3 times as much gold trading on the stock exchange at any point in time, right? So with
gold, you're saying, so if you're even trading in gold, you don't actually have access to that gold. Only like 1/3 of it is actually kind of like redeemable for actually gold.
So, at the end of the day, right, if you are left holding the paper gold when the music stops, right, what you have is a piece of paper that says it's gold, but it ain't really gold, right? And so, the difference with Bitcoin, right, is that when the music stops, it's you own the digital currency. You know that it's in your possession, and at least today there is far less trickery. So that market, that secondary market, is called a derivative market. That basically you have all these financial instruments that derive from the value of something else, and it's like a house of cards. You got this thing that's built on top of that, all these different fancy financial instruments, and I'm sure we all remember 2008, where you had all these mortgage-backed securities and things, all these fancy instruments that effectively told all these companies they had money, but then when the music stopped, oh no, you really didn't, right? So that's what a lot of the crypto industry is about, is making sure that there is transparency into your ownership of something, so that when you buy an asset, you can see, I actually own that thing. It's not just a piece of paper that says I should be able to get that thing. It is, it's clear title of the thing you own.
And that clear title that you have, for those that don't dabble in the world of crypto, it's codes or keys, as they call it, and that's what you own. But again, zeros and ones that are sitting on some server somewhere. You might have it in your software wallet or your cold wallet, or the different types of things they have that you store these things. And for the other banking that I do, I go to my online banking, and again, it's just zeros and ones. I don't have those dollars; they never touch my hands, but I can see it. But again, it's sitting on another server. So what we have is this new system with a new batch of zeros and ones that are sitting on a different batch of servers somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And each of those zeros and ones are, at the end of the day, just backed by our faith in the thing behind it, right? So if you look at Venezuela, there were a lot of people that had lots of money in their bank accounts, and overnight, boop, now they can barely, something that would have been cost effective all of a sudden is completely out of the reach for most people, just because that centralized financial system effectively collapsed, right? So that's a belief system that failed all of a sudden.
So now you're starting to get into the realm of faith, where we have this relationship to the traditional financial system, and there's a belief in that it's based on some sort of concrete reality. But crypto is a new system, but it's based on like some new type of faith and belief in these quote unquote coins, because it's not just Bitcoin. There's like thousands of these. I mean, there's new meme coins and shit coins that are being launched. Like there's hundreds of them every week. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So, I think that what it comes down to is that we as people have just been so disappointed by the behavior of so many executives in power over the last, 10, 15 years of our life, probably longer than that, but I feel like the last 10 years.
Oh, hell, come on. Like since Reagan, the middle class has been getting squeezed. It's been a pretty systematic approach, and not just the states, but like the liberal democracies all over the world for the past 40, 50 years have been taking this shift to the side where, the financial people have more and more power, and the rich are getting richer. And this has been going on for years now, that shift.
Right. So, that gap between the wealthy and the rest is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we just see these guys getting greedier and greedier and greedier. Right. So, if we look at what happened during 2008, right? We had this banking collapse, and then the government had to step in and bail out those banks, right? And what did they do? They turned around and paid the CEOs and these executives hundreds of millions of dollars bonuses, right? So this, the same day that they basically screwed their entire company and the entire country. The next day, they gave themselves bonuses with the money that the government gave them as bailouts. Right now, so events like that just leave the public in this like position where we just say to ourselves, like, we shouldn't have to trust a person with this, because I don't care who you are, right? And look, I don't know what their motives are, but here's what we do know is that uh, there seems to be a repeating pattern of people doing the wrong thing that are in power. So if we can find mechanisms by which we put the power or distribute that power into the hands of all of the people that own the money instead of these people, it's just a better place to be. We were telling ourselves that, hey, if I vote for this political party, that person will represent my interests when the time comes, right? But let's face it, they've been doing a pretty shitty job of that of late. So, I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily feel like my political interests or my interests in general are being very well represented by, folks. So,
I think that it's inspiring that we're going to make this move, or at least there's an option now for this less centralized kind of option. Because, like, let's face it, the people that are in charge of the current system, the fiat system, these are the uber greedy of the world. Like, their motivation when they get up in the morning and they go to work is like, I have $1 billion. I'm going to try to get $2 billion, or I got $10 billion, and I'm going to try to get $20 billion. So yes, you have these like high-powered athletes of the greed Olympics who are running the show now. But if you shift it over to cryptocurrency, then, okay, it's me that's sort of running the show. And then what I've noticed in my own dabbling in it, well, I got greed in my heart too, because, I'm watching this stuff every day and it's like, oh my God, got to give me this coin's on fire. This thing is, going to the moon. Give me some of that sushi coin or whatever it is. So it's also I have to now monitor myself. And so now this greed seems to be transferred because it's in all of our hearts. It's not just on Wall Street. We all have this, and this is now being transferred into this new cryptocurrency system. So it's not exactly a pure greed-free environment.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though, right? Is that greed and fear are the two driving factors that drive these markets, right? And capitalism, I don't believe, is a bad thing. In fact, capitalism, when executed correctly, it can work extremely well. But what a lot of people don't always understand about the way that the markets function is that the way that the traditional financial system is set up is it's rigged. The little guy just doesn't stand a chance to win. And when you look at basic operations like transaction front running. So as an example, if you look at Robinhood as an example, right? So that Robinhood came out with this mobile trading app, which was if you trade with us, it's trading is free, right? And it's trading for the little guy. I mean, the app's even called Robinhood, right? We're here to save you, little guy, right? But on the back end of Robinhood, what they are doing, right, is when you say buy this cryptocurrency for $5, the first thing Robinhood does is they reach out to one of their partners and they say, hey, I've got a sucker who wants to buy something for $5. Do you want the opportunity to buy it? And do you want the opportunity to jump in front of him in the queue, screw him, and then sell it to him for a little bit more? And so that's what's called selling the deal flow, right? So as far as you're concerned, right, you're just clicking the buy and you saw it happen. But when it came through, you're like, it cost me $5.20. It's not so bad. I guess something happened and there was a fee in there or something like that, right? But Robinhood does that, like a couple 100 million times a day, right? They make an absolute killing of it, right? And the truth is that guy in the middle, right, is the financial institution essentially getting the opportunity to step in front of you in the line and trade in front of you, so they will always have the advantage. And that's a rigged game. Like, I don't care how you look at it, it's a freaking con. And this is where the whole joke of like regulators coming in to like make sure the little guy is protected. Come on, if they were doing their job, there's no ways they would allow that kind of behavior.
So what does cryptocurrency in this new environment, what does it provide for the little guy that is different than the current financial system? And what's so great about that we should have faith in this for, tomorrow and bringing us somewhere new?
So the number one thing that you should be looking for is transparency, right? So at the end of the day, systems like decentralized finance allow buyers and sellers to bet against each other. Let's just call it that, right? But it's a level playing field, right? I can take a bet against a multinational bank, right? And I know that nobody jumped in front of me to screw me, right? At the end of the day, if I think the price of Bitcoin is going up and some Wall Street trader thinks it's going down and he wants to bet against me, hey, that's a level playing field. But so what decentralized finance and these new financial tools do for me is they just give me confidence that I'm on a level playing field with the big guy, and I don't think that's too much to ask, actually.
So we got this wild west of cryptocurrency in the financial world, but I'm kind of curious and attracted to how crypto has infiltrated and is being adopted in the spiritual community in this time when, everyone's talking about earth shift and how humanity is up leveling from third density to fourth density, and we're going through consciousness transformation, and we're in this renaissance and this up-leveling period of humanity. Old systems are crumbling. That includes the old financial system. And there's this new faith around cryptocurrency that it's going to be a savior in some way. And not just for the little guy, but there's another level to it where people are engaging it, that it's like spirit and the realms beyond are working to make crypto the new system for the new earth and, help take humanity into some new tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It, as someone who kind of, my background is in kind of technical fundamentals, right? So I look at everything from what does the technology do? Is the technology better than that technology? Is this technology better than that technology? And
you're saying that through that, the value is determined. So like the ability of the technology to be solving a real world problem. So gives it the value. So if you're going to invest in something, you invest in the better technology.
Yeah, exactly. But, and that for the most part is the case. But along comes this kind of spiritual community that, I got turned on to, and via a long kind of wound up story on shamanism and Z and, a couple interesting paths. But at the end of the day, I find myself in this spiritual community that is using some really kind of interesting ways of predicting what the cryptocurrency market is going to do, and it's fascinating because I almost, even though I am so invested in the technical fundamentals, my heart resonates with so much of what is going on in the spiritual community that I can, I would put more faith in what the prediction of spirit is than what my computer methodical engineering brain wants to do, which honestly I never thought I would do, but here I am.
I'm curious about your own spiritual journey, if that's what you want to call it, personal journey that got you to this place. It's hard to know what you even call that these days. Spiritual, it seems to all kind of be blending and morphing into one. We used to have separate place like the temple where we did that sort of thing, and then we went and did other things other places, and now it seems to just be blending together in some new flavor. But you were a software engineer, and did you just start exploring other dimensions of your being? How did that work?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, right? So I was born in South Africa. I was actually raised a Jehovah's Witness. So I spent quite a bit of time, doing the Jehovah's Witness thing, knocking on doors and having tea with old grannies and talking about the Bible, and so I spent a good deal of time doing that. And as I got older, I was exposed to just tremendous amounts of racism and kind of a very jaded path growing up in South Africa. And because there was a lot of political conflict during that time with apartheid, things like that. And, I was an atheist for most of my life. And actually, so without me knowing, I had become an alcoholic over time, and it was really through, I'd always been interested in metaphysical topics like the holographic universe, and a number, that type of field of information, the Akashic fields, things like that. But being an alcoholic, you spend most of your time just absorbed in doing that and not actually any of the spiritual stuff. And through some legal troubles, the United States gave me this kind reminder that that I was getting myself into trouble, and so I ended up getting a DWE, and that just made my life miserable. And by the luck of many stars, the universe guided me into a very good therapeutic environment, and that kind of just switched something in my head. Luckily, managed to pull out of that entire situation, and shortly thereafter, I had an experience on psilocybin that just gave me the only way I could describe it is like a past life experience and a conversation with the universe that if anyone that's done psychedelics knows that there are no words that could take you to the place that would help to explain this, but it really triggered in me a very, very deep desire to understand shamanic practice, and so I went down so many different avenues of shamanism. Of course, with psychedelics being illegal in the United States, I eventually ended up finding my way into holotropic breathwork, which is effectively a way to put yourself in psychedelic states, but without the psychedelics. studied with them for quite some time, and that took me into this realm where holotropic. So Stanis Grof did a whole lot of research on this topic, and one of the he talks a lot about transpersonal experiences. People that effectively have these psychedelic experiences and have past life experiences, and I just started to realize that my experience wasn't that crazy, and that this was quite a well studied field. To make things even crazier and crazier for me, right? It was this line. I then started finding people,
or started making it saner and saner.
Yeah, exactly. I just started loving it because I started finding fields like transpersonal and archetypal astrology. Started understanding that these experiences are tied into astrological experiences. And before I know it, I found myself in, and I still don't even know how I found myself in Z's shamanic class, but somehow I did, and that just changed my life. It's been incredible.
So for some background, you and I met through a course that we're both currently taking called Galactic Shamanism with the teacher, Z Earthstar Healer, who's based in New Mexico. She's camped out in the hills with her Starseed friends, and they're doing some deep, deep transformative work and teaching others. It's wonderful stuff. So you started hanging out with the Starseeds.
Yeah.
There's a starseed waiting in the car. He's texting all his friends to meet him at the bar. I tell people I used to be in meditation and Buddhism, and now I'm hanging out with the Starseeds, and damn, they are letting it rip from some new dimensions. They're bringing some new levels to this game.
Just next level wild. It's fantastic, and to see some of the younger generation and just how tapped in they are into this space is just amazing. It's really a breath of fresh air.
There's a starseed riding on her bike. For $100 she'll clear your past life trauma if you like. Oh.
And the space that it's opened up in my life has been fantastic because she's really encouraged me to do a lot of self-reflection. And through it, I've found my love for kind of the source creation or God or whatever you want to call that these days. I lost a lot of that as a kid, and I found it again, and it's a beautiful place to be again. So, and really, what happened there, right, is that I developed such a deep sense of trust in Z that when she said, "Oh, I've got a spiritual guy that does crypto stuff," that she knew, I kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, "Yeah, okay, here we go. Like, how does spirit and cryptocurrency connect, right?" And and then I ended up in this group with a bunch of Starseeds who are into crypto stuff, and they're using all of the woo-woo powers that the community has to have, right, to look into things like remote viewing, talking to spirit guides to get predictions on cryptocurrency, and stuff that there's just no way I would have believed in a couple of years ago. But now I really love being part of that community. It's a great place, and the energy you find in there is fantastic, so and it really freaking is accurate more times than not, which is even wilder, right?
And on some level, probably not anything new. Because in the financial world of making money off of stocks or cryptocurrency coins, knowing the future is super helpful. So there has always been mediumship and psychics and people going to Ouija boards in their parlor to kind of get some future financial advice. And, there's been psychics and people applying that trade, as long as there has been this type of finances. So with this newer stuff, are you feeling it's sort of some of the same along those lines, or is there something different?
I think it does, and so this notion that there is a crypto consciousness is one that, admittedly, I am still grappling with myself. But
so apparently, there's consciousness with everything.
Yeah.
That's part of some of this new information. Like rocks have consciousness, or there's really nothing out there that doesn't have consciousness. Right. It's all life and consciousness, and that's the theory. So everything is part of oneness, this field of unified consciousness. So if it's part of that, like cryptocurrency, then does cryptocurrency have consciousness?
Here's what I'll tell you is that through Stu and the cosmic crypto community, I've met some amazing folks who have who've pointed at like specific cryptocurrencies and said, this is a winner, right? And using all my technical powers of perception, I've looked at it and gone, no, I'm not buying that. That's ridiculous. And lo and behold, like a couple months later, I'm going, damn, I wish I had bought some of that. It's, so they, but the understanding the consciousness aspects of it, I do believe that it is tied into this Akashic kind of behavior somehow, or I've experienced and seen some of that Akashic kind of river on some of my journeys, and I don't know how this consciousness emerges from that field and directs the behavior here, but I think it has a lot to do with just predicting the general behavior of communities is what it comes down to, and this is where I think community is the key to it all, right? And
which is part of this evolution that we're going through. You touched on it before, where you said that you have this analytical side, and when you are evaluating a financial asset, you use those analytics to decide whether or not it's worth investing in. And that's a very third dimensional, third density strategy we've been using for thousands of years. We're analytical and we apply it to our world. And the financial system is really like the high temple of rational analytical thought.
Exactly.
And now it's being applied to cryptocurrency and like situation like the cosmic crypto group you're involved with. And the mind starts freaking the fuck out because, the heart space is in charge. And so the mind's like, what? There's a coin named after a dog? And like it knows there's no reason it should have any value, but bam, it does because of community.
Exactly. And the community is what is what makes it all, right? So what you find is that I've worked in blockchain spaces where the community isn't fostered correctly, and the technology starts out fantastic. The technology doesn't change, right? But what you do see, right, is that people just fall out of love with it, right? And people essentially go, yeah, the technology is cool, but I just don't feel it anymore, or I don't align with it, right? And what I believe we're seeing, right, is the reason that we see the spiritual community doing so well in this space is because they are one of the few groups in the world right now who are not acting from a place of fear. So they are able to stay aligned with truth right now, and just aren't getting sucked into, or trying not to get sucked into, the fear porn that is around us every day at the moment. And for that reason, that community is much stronger, much healthier, and those communities foster. They bring in more excitement and more energy into certain spaces. And even if the technology isn't as good, what you actually need is the community. The community has all the strength. It is what determines the value of these things these days. And if the technology isn't what it needs to be, with the right enthusiasm, you'll find the technology can become what it needs to be. You can't take technology and give it heart, but you can take heart and you can give it technology, right?
Fell in love with the coin, bought it all at once, used all my savings. It's named after a dog. Elon Musk says it's one I must be craving. Can't think of a time to sell. My mind says now, but my heart says never. I ask Elon, but he won't tell. He's just flying into space cause he's so clever. And a shining example of this is Dogecoin, which started off as the phrase, it's a shit coin, where the tech's not really that good, but you got all these meme coins hitting the market that are named after dogs and sushi and moons, and Doge is an example, as well as Shiba Inu,
Yep.
which went from nothing recently, like nothing, to being the 20th most valuable coin in the crypto sphere recently, and that's out of thousands of coins.
Wow,
And so
man.
what can you say about Doge and
Right.
Shiba Inu and their value, the value of their technology versus the community, and what that ratio is?
I think that the technology, and also the two very different things. So with Dogecoin, right, you had something that was clearly started as a joke, right? So and it's not even a secret, right? It's like somebody said, "Hey, let's just for fun make this thing," right? And it just got wildly out of control, and the community just loves it, and because it's got a cool dog and it's a awesome community, and for whatever reason, and so full disclosure, right, is that I bought some Dogecoin as a joke. It was like, wow, this. No, actually, it was on Spirit's recommendation, right? So and the strangest thing happened was that I bought it, and it pumped up to a really high price, and I didn't want to sell it. I was emotionally invested in the success of this so-called joke, right? And that's where I realized, hold on a minute, it's not such a joke, because I'm emotionally invested in this thing. And if I'm emotionally invested in this thing, that means that a lot of other people are. And that means a lot to something. So it may not.
And these are some of the higher teachings that are coming through. This is the emotional power that we have as humans. These are some of our true superpowers that we have of being human. And we're
Absolutely.
making the shift from the mental energy into the heart space. Humanity is evolving. And here's an example of something that's purely in the heart space that is successful for no other reason except for the heart space.
Yeah. Right. And and I should be clear. I mean, I love technology. I mean, that's what I live for. I build technology. I love great technology. So, for me to love like a technology that really doesn't have like fancy technology behind it is a fascinating phenomena for me. It just means like, oh, there is some kind of shift here. Like why do I love this thing? And I couldn't tell you. It's just an interesting place to be. I think that some of these other coins like Shiba Inu, some of these guys are they have a different kind of ethos to them, right? So in most of these cryptocurrencies, what happens is that somebody comes along and they say, "I'm going to build this technology, but I'm going to keep 10% of the coins, right? So that if the technology does well, I'm going to do well, right?" So there's an aspect of greed to it, right? And then you had these guys at Shima that came along and they said, "You know what? Actually, we're not going to do any of that. Like, we're going to take 50% of the money. We're going to give it to Vitalik, right? That was the extent of the greed in this thing, right? And even after Vitalik basically sold it all and gave it away, like the community is, for unexplained reasons, right, just loves the thing and is continuing to build it passionately, right? And this is what that's what community is about, right? Is that when you can get people to put their heart and soul into something without a clear, greed factor behind it. No, don't get me wrong. I'm sure everybody has got a vested interest in it because they want to see the value of the coin go up. Nobody's doing this for nothing, but the power of that community it's cool, and it wasn't started as a joke. It was started as a different economic model, and this is what blockchain is fantastic at doing. It's like taking our financial system, right, and saying like, yeah, this one's not working. Let's just create a new one, and if people are interested in that one, they'll move and use that one. It's like saying, let's just, the dollar 1.0 is not working. Let's create the dollar 2.0. And then a few days later, we realize, nah, you know what? Some greedy pig is abusing it this way. Nah, scrap it. Let's change the dynamics of it and create dollar 3.0, right? And you know what we're going to do? We're going to keep doing that until the greedy pigs aren't screwing it up for whatever reason, and that's what we're seeing right now, right? Is we're seeing economic models just jump from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, right? And you're seeing some really clever guys like come in and exploit it and do all kinds of silly things. But really, what we're seeing is like lightning fast evolution of economic systems. Things that used to take us hundreds of years to test out, we now are like doing on a weekly basis, which is, and that should excite us, right? That means that the speed of fairness in economics, right? We're coming to an equilibrium where we're testing out all these things, and it's this concept of fail fast, right? We put something out there, people think it sucks. They pull their money out of it, it implodes. We move on to the next one. Oh, okay, try the next one. And what we're seeing every day is it just getting better and better and better and better. So we're trying out economic models that we just would never even have dreamed of years ago.
So there's this speed and this excitement and rapid change, but we don't really like change. I mean, some people like it. They're on the cutting edge. This is my world. I love this. I'm going with this. But the other 99% of humanity, it's like this is going a little too fast. So where are you seeing like the play between these patterns going on? Like when are we going to see mass adoption of cryptocurrency? Because it's still a volatile market.
Oh, yeah.
I heard this quote that your mom is not there to make sure you have your helmet on at the skateboard park of cryptocurrency, and you can bail pretty hard because it's all up to you. So does this go full circle now? Like, do we go into this with the heart space and leave our analytical mind behind, have the heart space lead the way? Is that the approach?
Yeah, I think the question of like getting left behind is like you said, people don't like change, right? So there are two kinds of people, right? Those that kind of go, this thing is too complicated, I can't do it, right? And then there are like those that go, all right, I'm willing to give it a go, right? And I'm sure you can attest to the fact that, like, it's like you start out and you say like, all right, I'll put my toes in the water and see what this thing is about, right? And like within days, right? You're surfing. There's a it doesn't mean that you know what the hell you're doing. It's you could still be way out of your depth, but the truth is that um, there are it's not for everybody. There are some people that just feel scared of it and are not just don't have the mental space to get into it, and that's okay.
But will it get to a point of mass adoption, and what will it take? Because the benefits of it that you talk about, that's held in the heart space of the community, is it's decentralization. Let's get our financial system out of the hands of the greedy few. Let's make it accessible to everyone. Let's maybe grow this based on our heart energy and our emotions as well, rather than the just hard analytics. So when are we going to see this shift to a more mass adoption?
Well, I think it's. I mean, the mass adoption it's here. It's happening right now. We're like I'm seeing banks integrating on the back end. So, don't be surprised if within the next year of your life, you walk into your bank and they tell you can buy Bitcoin at the bank, and that your bank will keep it for you. That they can see the writing on the wall, and they know that their days are numbered if they don't start figuring this out real quick. So, I think that when you look at companies like PayPal, you can buy cryptocurrency on PayPal. Everybody knows how to use PayPal. Now there's limited functionality once you've actually like bought that cryptocurrency on PayPal, but you can do it there, right? I believe that we're going to see, I mean, you look at like companies like Tesla, they're allowing you to buy cars with Bitcoin, things like, things of that nature, right? But ultimately, the biggest driving factor is going to be uh, people wanting to find smart places to put their money. And the truth is that today, no matter what you do with your savings, if you put it in a bank, you're losing money. Inflation is accelerating faster than the interest rate is. So, and your bank is maybe giving you less than 1% interest, right? Now, in your lifetime and my lifetime, right? It used to be compounding interest was the thing that was going to help you to retire. I was going to put some money in the bank and I believed in compounding interest. And by the time I retired, I was going to have a nest egg that was going to help me to retire safely, right? But the truth is that what's happening right now is that people can't find a bank that's going to give them any decent interest rate, right? So they are currently being forced to invest their money in the stock market, which is in all these giant tech companies and overvalued stocks. So they're being forced to gamble with their retirement savings, which is sad because a lot of people are going to get hurt in that process. And I think that the need for people to find a place where they can get a steady return on their money in an investment vehicle that's safe and will give you a decent interest rate is what will drive mass adoption. Today you can get interest rates in very safe vehicles of at least 8 to 12%, in cryptocurrency, and so I could take any one of your savings plans, put it into a regulated company. This is not like a Mickey Mouse entity. These entities are regulated in the US. They're tightly controlled. They have to have insurance. All the things that you would expect your bank to have. There is a crypto bank that does the same thing and will give you 8 to 12% interest on your money. And I think that when people understand that and go, wait a minute, I don't have to get this garbage interest rate from my bank. I can go over there and get the same compounding interest rate that I would have got beforehand. I think that's when the penny drops, and you're going to see a rush of people into going, wow, I just have to find a reliable way to earn interest on my money. That's a bare minimum these days. I don't even have to gamble on the cryptos. I'm just looking for a safe place to put it and earn interest.
Now, you say that exists at the moment,
Yeah.
but is that using crypto and you have to own Bitcoin or Ethereum or one of the top coins? And when you're paid that interest, are you paid in that cryptocurrency?
It can be in those cryptocurrencies. So if you want exposure to something like Bitcoin, if you believe the price of Bitcoin will go up in time, you can invest it in Bitcoin, but you can also convert it into what's called a stable dollar, right, or stable coin. So coins like USDC are pinned to the dollar, right? Meaning that it's just a digital version of your dollar. You convert your paper fiat money into digital dollars, and it will always track the value of the dollar. And you can invest in digital dollars and get digital compounding interest in dollars. It's just so it'll stay pegged to the same value. Me personally, I believe that the dollar at some point in time is just going to be outperformed by Bitcoin by a long stretch. So and again, like any good portfolio manager will tell you, this is not an all or nothing game. You don't put all your savings into Bitcoin and pray that this is going to work out, right? You take a portion of your portfolio, just like you should have a portion of your money in precious metals like gold and silver. You should have a portion of your money in the stock market, and this is another portion of your money that you invest in, into cryptocurrency. It's part of your investment strategy. It's not the investment strategy.
Okay, what about the investment strategy that many of us, you, me, many others, where we're investing in our own self-development? We're going within, we're raising our vibration, increasing frequency, releasing old habits and traumas, and we're accelerating our growth on that level, which some would say that that's the deepest wealth that you can have. So how are you seeing that relationship to cryptocurrency for yourself and perhaps others?
I think that all of us have got so much work to do at a personal level that we see the side effects in cryptocurrency, right? I mean, like you said, you really start to see it in yourself, the greed and fear aspects of life and patience, right? I mean, the cryptocurrency market is 24/7 nonstop, right? So, I mean, once you get into this stuff, you can sit on your phone and you can watch the price go up and down all day long, every minute of the day. You can wake up 3:00 in the morning and look at your phone and go, oh my God, what's it doing? And you will drive yourself absolutely bonkers, or you can place your investment, trust your heart, and come back and see how it's doing once a month, right? And now that is not nearly as much fun as what once you get into this space, it gets crazy, and it's there's so many of these things, and the communities are just so much fun that there's a lot of variety there. But I do think that it teaches you a lot about yourself, because you when you start to see the price dropping and you're looking at it regularly, it takes a tremendous amount of self-control to control that fear, right? And here's what we know about the right now we're getting these advanced traders, from Wall Street coming into the game, right? And listen, these boys know how to manipulate fear, right? I mean, they and they got a lot of money to do it, right? So, you've put your life savings in crypto, and they're like, watch me screw with this guy's emotions. They'll drive the price all the way down. Right now, they know that they're going to buy it and then wait for it to skyrocket again. But if you don't have your emotions in check, you're going to panic at some point and be like, all right, I don't want to lose everything. I'm going to sell right now, and it's going to happen, right? One of my trading gurus makes the statement that it's a transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient. So, so if you are willing to exercise patience and belief, and not get caught up in the fear and the greed, wealth will be yours, is the bottom line.
Let's fast forward 20 years in the world financial system, and where do you see cryptocurrency in that whole affair?
20 years from now is...
I know no one knows what the frick is going to happen 5 years from now, let alone 20 years. The rug of kind of future predictability and certainty has been just yanked out from underneath humanity, and no one has a frickin' clue where it's going. But what about maybe like your heart space? What are you feeling that this is where all this is going?
What I believe will happen is that this blockchain ecosystem is another. It's also called the Internet of Value, right? And I think that groups of humans will find value in community, and their communities will find like pockets of value, right? And today we believe that we have to all harmonize money back down to like one thing, right? To the dollar or whatever it is, so that we can trade internationally and have all this, monetary exchange stuff. But I think that as humans, we are realizing that we need to go back to microcosms of communities. And I think that what it looks like is if we think about what a Zulu tribe used to look like, a couple hundred years ago, where communities was strong and there was barter and exchange between different tribes, things like of that nature. I think that we end up in a place where these little microcosms of finance allow us to step back in time, but step forward in time, where we build communities and we choose the economics that we want to see in those communities. We don't allow this one huge top-down approach to kind of force us all to think about economics a certain way. We understand that we have the technology that empowers our community to act and transact the way that we want to exchange value. And those belief systems and values that we exchange will attract other people of the same values as us, because nobody's going to want to take love tokens or whatever it is if they can't buy a fancy Porsche over there with it, right? But if what you want to buy with your love tokens is a service that does something for you and your heart, then you see value in that, and you don't mind taking payment in love tokens or whatever that is, right? There's that's I think that the unit of exchange will match the values of the community.
Well, apparently humans are known throughout the galaxy for our creativity and the speed in which we evolve and adapt and change our systems. So that's likely going to continue. And I appreciate how you were talking about the macro and the micro, how we're going micro as well as macro, where we think things are becoming one and we're all going to have like one world currency and all these systems. But the strength of the individual and individual communities is also coming through, and we're aligning our beliefs and connection with our unique individuality that's also manifesting at the same time as this oneness. And so maybe we're going to express this financially through our use of love tokens. Is that the latest crypto ICU you got on your up your sleeve? Love tokens?
You know, it's an idea I've been playing with. It's not a very good economic model, but let's just say
it's the community.
Exactly. It's the
community. The love token community.
Exactly.
You heard it here first, friends. Love tokens. Warrick and his software buddies will figure out the tech. You tell me when the ICO is so I could get on the ground floor at a rock bottom price for some love tokens.
The only way to get love tokens is to do good in the world, by the way. So we don't take dollars for these tokens.
Just moving up the chakras to the new age of humanity or ascension or, into the heart space, whatever we call it, that's going on around here. We know something's going on, not sure what it is, but Warrick, I really appreciate your insight and perspective on all of this, from the technical to the heart space and everything in between. I learned a lot about cryptocurrency, and I also know I shouldn't be so analytical. I'm trying to exercise those demons myself and move into my own heart space of beings, and love tokens will take us there.
Yeah, well, we're waiting for it to happen, but it's destiny.
It's destiny. Love tokens. Thanks, Warrick. That was an awesome chat.
Thank you, Chris. It's fantastic.
Well, thanks everyone for hanging out with me in the McNuttiest dimension here today. We mentioned the work of Z Earthstar Healer in the show with Warrick. If any of you resonate with the journey of being a starseed, I recommend that you check out her work and the work she's doing with others in her sphere. It is deep, it is beautiful, it's powerful and transformative, and you won't be disappointed. Z, that's an X-I-Z, Earthstar Healer, the Earthstar Sanctuary, earthstar.academy is the website. There's a YouTube channel. She does regular postings and transmissions. Starseed mission support is something that's very dear to her heart. It is wonderful, wonderful energy. The transmissions coming through from our Starseed friends. Big thanks to the work they're doing and the transformation they're helping to manifest here right now. And Warrick also mentioned a group he's a part of, Cosmic Crypto. If you go to starseedadventures.com, there's some links to that group. Stu Daly is his name. He's a wonderful soul who is very inspired to help people engage with the world of cryptocurrency, bringing in some starseed dimensions to the whole experience. So if that sings to you in any way, starseedadventures.com. Thanks to White Stripes as a source of the musical inspiration in this week's episode, along with David Bowie, one of the original Starseeds from the first wave of Starseed volunteers who started popping into this realm shortly after World War II. I'm kind of more of like a second waver. Generation X vintage, or maybe I'm just a guy at the Cosmic Amusement Park riding the Earth Human 21st Century ride with my friends. It's going to end sometime. I'm going to get off and maybe puke behind the corn dog stand. But I am enjoying it, and I hope you are enjoying the ride as well. If you would like to connect, and it would be so great to hear from you all the time, McNuttiest is all you need to know on Instagram or Facebook. Thanks for tuning in and spending time in the McNuttiest dimension. I'm Chris McNutt. I'll catch you next time.
McNuttiest.